Welcome everybody. Today we are hosting 4 speakers who are going to discuss water efficiency in the textile industry, talking about best practice and future directions. My name is Stephen Frost and I'm your moderator today, and it's my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of GIZ FABRIC, who was the regular host of this online seminar series, which is co-organized today. We're very happy to announce by Genology. And you'll be hearing more about this organization, this company, later on in the seminar. But before we get into our 4 speakers today, I just want to go through a few housekeeping issues. I know you're all probably familiar with Zoom. If this is your first time on WebEx, I think it's fairly intuitive how to use it. If you want to turn on your camera, please do so. That does help speakers sometimes. They can see other people out there, but they think they're not just talking into a black space. You don't need to turn on your camera though, but if you'd like to, fine. I do also need to mention that the event is being recorded, and the recording will be made available to all participants in an email with a link in the next week or so. You're also only in listen-only mode. We're not trying to censor you, but it's quite difficult to have everybody speaking at the same time. But if you do have a question for the panelists, just type it into the chat box. You can see the chat box logo in the bottom right-hand corner of the WebEx. If you've got a question, please just type it into the chat box. You can type the question in at any time, and I will field those to the panelists. If you've got a specific a question directed at a specific panelist, please indicate to whom you are addressing the question so that I can direct the question to that person. If it's a general question, then that's fine. And finally, we will put a short survey poll in the chat box towards the end of this event. It's just a link to a little survey. This does help us improve the online seminars. It does help us. So I'll remind you towards the end of the seminar, someone from IT will pop a link into the chat box. Takes about a minute to fill out, just to help us for future events, to make it more relevant to you. So this is the 9th online seminar in this series of Moving the Needle. As I said, jointly organised by GIZ FABRIC and Genology. This is a company which has a mission to create an ethical, sustainable and eco-efficient textile and apparel industry through disruptive technologies. So we've invited this organisation that does a lot of work in the industry with a lot of companies on a whole range of issues in the industry, but also water. Water efficiency is one of their key pillars that they do work on in a kind of under an umbrella of zero waste, which of course water is a large part. And in this seminar, we're going to look at how companies are trying to do more with less, trying to do more with less water, being more efficient with water use, improve allocation of water amongst competing users, and so on and so forth. I don't think I need to labour the point too much that water is certainly a precious resource, and we need to be considering it as a very important resource. Okay, I think that's enough from me for my introduction. I'm not going to introduce all the speakers at once. You've all received the invitation and you've all got their bios in front of you. So I'm going to start off with Peppa Silicasanova from Genology. And I'd like to ask you, Pepper, just to begin with, can you just start off by giving us a brief overview of what Genology does, and specifically with regard to water and water efficiency in the textile industry?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for the introduction. It's great to be here with all of you. Well, my name is Pepa, and I'm part of the Genology family. So I will tell you today a little bit about our company and what we do. Genology was born 27 years ago with the purpose of dehydrating and detoxifying the textile industry, as Stephen was saying. We are a family-based company that comes from textile manufacturing in Spain from many years ago. And coming from this industry, we felt that things weren't right in the supply chain, in the manufacturing, and in the way we are using natural resources in this industry. We are not using it in an efficient way, water pollution, work health, etc. So we invested in R&D in order to offer this industry new technologies, disruptive technologies that were capable of offering same or better products, but produced in a very different way. So we focused in denim finishing, and let's say that today you can see two pair of jeans that look the same, same price, but one is produced in a sustainable way and the other one not. So there's no excuse, right? The consumer will always choose the one that is produced in the sustainable way. So just to give some numbers, probably a lot of you already know, but fashion industry is the second most polluting industry in the world and is responsible of 20% of water pollution in the planet. And when I say water pollution, I don't mean just the use of water itself, but the use of this water, polluting this water, and then bringing back to nature, dumping into the rivers and oceans, and therefore polluting this water that is clean. So if you look back into the industry, years ago, it has always been a very water intensive industry. Even in the Egyptian times, 4,000 years ago, we could already see it. And if you look deeply into the problem, Genology asked ourselves, why is water so necessary for this industry? And this question is important to understand in order to offer the right solution. So if you look into it, water is actually the main carrier that is transporting the chemicals that are going to give the quality to the fabric or to the garments that we are looking for. So let's say I want to give color to a fabric. Let's say I want to give this hand feel of softened garment into the fabric. There I'm going to use softening chemicals. I'm going to use oxidizing chemicals. I'm going to use any type of chemical to give this quality or characteristic to the fabric. And in order to transport this chemical, we are using water. This is the carrier. So it requires a lot of water. But then it's not only just the use of water, it's also the use of energy, because this water, this carrier is inefficient. And in order for that to be, this process to be fast, we are going to need to heat this water up to 60, 90 degrees. And this is requiring a lot of huge amount of energy and CO2 emissions into the plant. So therefore, the more water we are using, the more time it is taking for us, all these processes that are involved in the production or manufacturing of garments. Well, we have more processes, and then as well, more energy that is required. So Genology focused on bringing new technology, but first focusing on minimizing the use of this water. Because if we are minimizing the use of water, then we are minimizing the pollution of the water, and we are as well minimizing the use of these chemicals that are very toxic, and we are as well minimizing the energy that we are implementing in the different processes. So first of all, we focused on this, and let's say water is the main carrier, as I was saying, to transport chemicals. Today, traditionally, we do it with a bath of water. Well, Genology invented the technology in order to do it with nanobubbles. So instead of using water and excess of chemicals in order to transport this into the fiber, we are using nanobubbles, air mixed with chemical and water. And we are reducing, for, let's say, for a pair of jeans, you use 20 liters of water just to do the softening process. Well, we are using just 1 liter of water, because we are mixing with air and we are creating a kind of cloud inside the tumbler. And the water and chemical that is being injected into the tumbler is the necessary amount of water that this fiber needs. So therefore, the fiber will absorb it, and there's not going to be any kind of waste. So at the end, you're going to have the garment with the characteristic that it needs, but no excess of water. And then we are using as well other kind of processes, such as, for example, ozone. Ozone, we use it a lot. It's an oxidizing agent, and in the denim industry, we use a lot of oxidizing chemicals such as bleach or pumice stone wash, which is something that we need to do the abrasion of the garments. So we are substituting this kind of processes with ozone, which we take it from the air, we produce the ozone, and we destroy it in a closed loop, closed circuit. So we are definitely here not using water at all, just gas, and therefore reducing a lot the amount of water. And once we are capable of reducing this amount of water, just to give you a clear image of how these technologies are impacting in the whole process. In order to do one pair of jeans, traditionally you use more than 100 liters of water. With our technology, we are capable of reducing it drastically to just 5 liters of water per jean. And these 5 liters of water that we are using, we are recycling it. We have a technology that we call H2O technology, and the little amount of water that we need to use, because sometimes it's necessary, we treat it, we recycle it, and we use it again. So in a factory, we are capable of having a closed loop, and in the same month using the same water, and therefore guaranteeing zero waste in the planet. So yeah, basically that's just a brief summary of all the technologies that we have and how we are impacting in the industry.
Yeah, I think we'd need a much longer seminar to cover everything that Genology is working on. It really is a remarkable company, really at the forefront of reducing waste in this industry. Someone was asking whether you had a presentation file. They couldn't see it on the screen. There is no, Pepper does not have a PowerPoint. There is no presentation file for the person who asked that question. So Pepper, just to come back, one of the things I was reading about that Genology is involved in is something called an urban factory project. And I find this quite interesting. Can you just give us a little overview of the urban factory and kind of the relevance for that with regard to water in particular?
Yes, of course. So yeah, let me explain a little bit about this project. So as I mentioned before, Genology is pioneer in developing and commercializing all these technologies for the finishing process, and this is allowing us in the industry to minimize the use of the hydrate resources, energy resources, and chemicals. So during the past years, we have been studying each part of the process in order to develop all the technology that is necessary to involve all the finishing process of garment in the denim industry. And today we can say that we are capable of designing and implementing the most sustainable and efficient denim finishing laundry in the world. We are capable of developing with sustainable technology, doing product development with this sustainable technology, and then scaling that to production in a simple way, guaranteeing zero waste. So we are actually offering the manufacturers, brands, and our customers factories that are able to eliminate 100% all harmful processes such as PP spray, sandblasting, pumice stone wash, hazardous oxidizing chemicals, and we are delivering a product that is sustainable, digital, easy to reproduce, etc. So, and what's more important is that in these factories, we are minimizing the use of water, and we are recycling it. So this is allowing us to install these finishing garment laundries anywhere in the world that maybe has no access to water, or maybe has water dumping regulations that are very high, strict, like for example in cities. So let's say that in a city, who would say to just have a garment finishing plant of jeans in the middle of a city? Would think it's impossible, because you need a lot of energy resources, you need a lot of water, and probably you're dumping this water into the rivers, which is not possible in the middle of the city. So with our technologies, we made this possible. Actually, in 2018, we launched the first jeans finishing plant for Levi Strauss & Co. in the desert of Nevada, and very near Las Vegas. And this was a place where there was no access to water. And we did it there because we wanted to show the world that it's possible to have a finishing plant of jeans without access to water. So they were just filling tanks, and every month they were replacing these tanks with new water in order to wash the jeans, no, and in order to manufacture. So what we are doing with the Run Factory project actually is allowing us to bring manufacturing back home near the consumer, shortening the delivery times, managing all this overproduction that we are facing today with the big fashion brands, being able to react fast to demand and to the consumer needs. And we are doing it by offering a sustainable product, relocating the supply chain, and of course, by being able to put this in the cities, because we are able to reduce the water drastically, and the little water that we are using, we are recycling. So has allowed us to work with many brands and manufacturers and innovate in product development. And we have installed small factories in cities like Amsterdam, Miami, Los Angeles, Berlin, London. So it's just giving us more and more opportunities for manufacturers and for brands to make things that couple years ago were impossible to think of.
Yeah, this is really innovative. It's a really innovative project, and I urge anybody listening in who's interested in that to go and have a look at Genology website, or contact Pepper later on. I'm going to come back to you, Pepper, sort of to think about the future of water efficiency. But first of all, I want to jump now to Vietnam. We've got two speakers today from Vietnam. One speaker is from the WWF Vietnam, and the other speaker is from a manufacturer. So I want to start with WWF, with Na. Na, could you just introduce yourself, what you do at WWF Vietnam, and then talk about WWF's role in promoting water efficiency in Vietnam, and also thinking about what is the status of water in Vietnam? Is it where are we with that? Thanks.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you for offering me the opportunity to talk in this regional global webinar. So to your questions, first, Nga. I joined WWF Vietnam since late 2019, and I now lead the water stewardship program. In water stewardship, we focus on water intensive industry, and textile is the first industry we start with the water stewardship intervention. So to your questions, what we do with what is the role of WWF in water efficiency? WWF have two main approach for water efficiency. First is the water risk filter. Many of you might know and have used the tool of water risk filter. Basically, water risk filter is to assess and value the water risk in different countries and basins around the globe. Water risk is classified into three different kinds of risk. Physical risk, including the volume and the quality of water in different river basins and territories. Regulatory risk and reputational risk. So later on, I will introduce how water risk filter is used for analyze the risk of my country, Vietnam, so you can know more about the water situation in Vietnam. The second approach that WWF use for water efficiency is the water stewardship. Basically, water stewardship is approach to engage and convincing and the stakeholder to adopt the water stewardship journey. And the water stewardship journey consisted of 5 layers. It's starting with training and awareness raising for stakeholder, water user on the water risk. And the second layer is on giving the knowledge for stakeholder on the water footprint, the impact of what they do, of their production on the water situation. The third layer is the promoting interaction of players. For example, here in Vietnam, we after the second step of awareness raising and knowledge, technical knowledge, then we support technical knowledge for individual factories, textile factories, and then promote them to follow up on our recommendation, some water efficiency solution, and promote them to make investment and plan the resources for taking action to reduce water consumption and wastewater pollution. The fourth layer is collective action. So collective refer to generate space and platform for different stakeholders to take action and joint effort for water governance. So what we call here is not efficiency, but the sustainable water management for a river basin or beyond the scope of each factory or each community. So it is the integrated water management, if you can refer to more like common norms for the water. And the last layer in the water stewardship approach is the influencing for and advocacy for better water management policy. So we also do some part on advocacy for sustainable and textile strategy, and also advocate for the Ministry of Environment on the water resource law. So that's kind of thing we hope that it is a comprehensive and holistic approach for addressing the water issue. Yeah. So that is the what we do in the water stewardship, and textile is our piloting sector to start with. So far in Vietnam, we have been able to reach out to around 700 textile garment factories, companies for awareness raising, and more than 100 of them are training deeply on the water efficiency, energy efficiency, and also chemical management. Because as Pepa just said, the different kind of resources for textile production is go along together. If you use more water, it also means that you use more energy to heat the water, and also use more chemical to carry on this sufficient amount of dyes and washing substance for the fabric and garments. So we not only water efficiency, but also energy and chemical management. And also we're out of the 100 factories, we now focus on around 40 factories, textile fabrics, wet processing factories, to follow up with them on for them to take in the water stewardship to reduce the actual water and energy consumptions. Yeah. So to say a little bit about the water status in Vietnam, as I just said, water risk filter has ranked Vietnam now at the water risk level of number 148 out of more than 200 countries in the world. In Vietnam, we have around seven big river basins, and of which Mekong Delta region stand out at the highest risk compared to other river basins in the country. And you may know the story about Mekong Deltas. Vietnam lay at the downstream of Mekong Delta, and with the multiple hydro dams set up at the upstream of Mekong rivers from the Lancang Mekong in China to Laos, Thailand, Myanmar, Cambodia, and when it comes to Vietnam, the water resource and the sediment has been trapped at the upper dams, leaving the Mekong deltas no longer a fertile basins. No sediment come down, and then the sea level rise has been threat to the Mekong delta to be like disappear at the threat of disappearing in the 100-year times. What happened to every day now is that we see hear the news that bank erosion happen every day in Mekong deltas, especially in the rainy season happening now. We also have the states like the salination, so no longer fresh water, but always some percentage of salt in the waters. So that's the situation, and because of this, the reputational risk, water risk of Vietnam going up to number 196. So it is a score 3.7 on the 0 to 5 scales, and yeah, so it is high reputational risk because of the image of Mekong rivers, the cultural value, the biodiversity importance, the conflict, as well as media scrutiny, all linked to higher reputational risk of water in Vietnam.
Yeah, you mentioned that you've assessed 700 factories.
Yeah.
And you know, working really closely with 40 of those. I was wondering, do you also work with brands and retailers? Because, you know, those 700 factories are producing, or even those 40 factories that you're working with, you know, really intensely.
Mm-hmm.
Those 40 factories that you're working with are supplying to many brands and retailers. Is there is there some involvement in these projects? You're here with another person from Vietnam. I'm going to get to him in a moment. You know, he's from a manufacturer. But is it just manufacturers involved in this, or are the brands that's sourcing from these factories also involved in these projects?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good questions. Actually, I just do not mention yet the donor to our project. So our project, because of the importance of water stewardship and water footprint in the textile sector, we do involve with quite a few brands, of which one brand did still give money to us over the last 4 years. So that they really have high interest in high accountability for the water sustainability in the textile sector. Brands do introduce invite their supplier to our projects, and yeah, we highly appreciate for that. But of course, in the future, because of our approach, we need to engage in more intensity from brand and retailers. We to work together, not to give money to us, but also give money directly to the sales platform of the supplier for them at funds to conduct at least the energy auditing funds, or the some mechanism for incentivize supplier to take action. So that is to supplement our effort, but we are calling for collective action from different brands to rolling out, to scale up our work.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm just curious about the role of brands in all of this. I'm going to come back to you too now with a question about the future what does the future look like with all of this? But I'll come back to that. I now want to move to Albus, who's also from Vietnam, but from the manufacturing perspective, not an NGO perspective. Albus, could you just introduce yourself briefly and give a brief introduction to the company you work for? You're on mute, Albus. You're muted. Right.
My bad.
Yes.
Forgot that I already turned off the microphone. Okay, so thank you so much, Stephen, for the good introductions. And so welcome people to join the seminar today. Then I'm Elvis, but also people call me Tam as well. And I'm working for a Taiwanese industrials group in Vietnam. It's called Fusion Fiber Industry. And this company getting set up from 1963 with a long history in the polyester supply, with a long history in knitting and dyeing sections. But then currently we work with a lot of brands over the world. Then we changed our core product into polyester. And currently we have the factory in Vietnam, another factory in Jordan, and we plan to have an expansion to have another factory in the south of Vietnam as well. So actually,
Right.
Yep.
So it's a Taiwanese-based company. Is that correct?
Huh? Sorry?
Is it this is a Taiwanese-based company? Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. We're 100% invest by Taiwanese people. Yeah.
Okay. So how did you get involved with the WWF Vietnam project that Na was just talking about? What motivated the company to take on water efficiency as an objective?
Well, by chance, we really cared about the kind of controlling resource consumptions, and then by chance we know WWF through the Vitas of Vietnam. I mean, an affair apparel industries. Then they introduce us, and then I connect with Ms. Nga. Then we get the offer from them for the consultant service. Also by chance, I know that they did something for our factory before. So wow, we connect with each other and we get the project started.
And what kind of work have you been doing? What are the main projects in the factory that you've been working on? And can you give us some sort of idea about the results that you've had with water efficiency from those projects?
Currently, I'm in charge of sustainable work, sustainability in these factories. So I mostly focus on the water efficiency waste and also the energy saving, also the carbon footprints. And as you know already, currently we have the COP26, where the leader of countries focus on the problem of the carbon footprints, but also for the water use, it is the hot point of the apparel industries for the long time already. And we work with the brands that require that they have a lot of requirements on cutting down the resource consumptions. And that's why we joined this program, and then currently we have some small achievements already. Yeah.
So can you explain some of those achievements?
Sorry, I cannot hear you clear.
Could you outline some of those achievements that you've had with water efficiency?
Oh, okay. All right. So mostly we have the kind of 5 achievements here that we did in the past. First of all, we get the dye bath up. We get the cooling system for the dye bath water, and then we reuse the water for multiple purpose. And also we cut off the bleaching. We cut off the water use by using the bleaching machines after the printing process. Also, we replaced current dyeing machine. I mean, the old, the traditional jet dyeing machines with the low liquid ratio dyeing machines. And finally, we've invested in the constant technologies. And if people doing in the apparel industry, you guys will know that the constant technologies is one of the newest technologies available on the market. Now, we will help us to save a lot of water and also the energy consumption as well.
Have you got figures on water savings or energy savings? Have you got data for that you can reveal, or is that something you don't want to reveal?
How can I say? It is simple like that. For kind of improvements, it helps us to cut off something around 25% of water usage already. And then for the constraints projects, we expect to cut off 30% more in total for the water usage.
And what's the response from brands when they see these projects? You know, you're a very large company, okay? So and you work with really the who's who of brands, okay? If we look on your webpage, I see many well-known brands. You know, I'm not asking you to tell me exactly what each brand thinks, but you know, in general, what's the response of brands to this water efficiency work?
Oh, maybe you guys know already that brands always follow the directions from their government, and then they require a lot over the requirements from the local legal requirements. And then when we did some kind of project like that, they of course will appreciate us a lot. But then they will still keep setting up the better improving schedule for us.
Right. So even though you look at 25% reduction or you look at another 30% reduction, what you're finding is the bar is always raising, right? So you do this, and then okay, that's good, but now we really
want to improve more, something like that.
Yeah, that's a question I'm going to come back to with the panel as a whole as well.
All right.
Because I think there's, you know, if we look at the future of this, I'm quite interested to know, you know, what point do we get where we say we've really reached a point where we are very efficient and we're satisfied with that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can think about that.
I have a question.
Okay.
Do you allow me to jump?
Yeah, go ahead, Pepper. Yes, jump in.
Great. Well, thank you, Albert, for all the information. I was just wondering, because you were saying that you are very big in dyeing purposes, and you're saying that you just moved to polyester fibers. So are you doing fabric? Are you a mill? Are you doing fabric, or are you doing garment manufacturing? Are you seeing in the industry if there is any shift towards more garment dye rather than fabric dye? Is this something that is happening, or and how are you tackling this? I'm just interested to know if it's something, because we are seeing a lot of shifting, many brands that are looking to do garment dye, because it's more, you know, we are postponing the moment of giving color to the garment to the last minute so that we can be more flexible and meet consumer demand. So I don't know if this is something that you are as well seeing, and just wondering.
So in short, can I just summarize your questions? Like you ask if we dye the yarn or you dye the fabric, I mean the grade, right?
Or the garment.
Or the garment. Oh no, something like that. To work with the brands, we are just count as their tier two. I mean the material processing company, and then what we do here is that we need the fabric to become the grades, and then we use this grade to dye and then make it at the materials for the garment company. So what we do is that we just produce the fabric. Yeah, we produce the fabric and then we deliver it to the garment companies, and then they will do the other process.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So you are not doing garment manufacturing.
Yeah, we are not.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay.
Pepper. Albus, I have a question. Maybe you can see the question in the chat box from Abdul Noor. Dr. Tam, are you working on reactive dyeing in exhaust dyeing machinery? If yes, what is the average water consumption to dye per kilogram fabric in exhaust machine? I don't know if you have that figure off the top of your head, but
We are not focusing on the reactive dyeing now. However, if you like to know the average water consumption for to dye per kilogram fabric, so currently we have the record on this, and then I see like something around 80 to 110 liters per kilogram in total for the polyester.
okay. Thanks, Albus.
What I mentioned is the full process in his factory, from the pre-washing to dyeing and then finishing.
Yeah. From the end from the beginning to the end.
Okay, thanks for that clarification, Nah. Abdul, if you want to follow up on that, please do so in the chat box. I can't tell whether Albus has answered your question exactly or not. I think he has, but I'm not entirely sure. Thanks very much, Albus. I'm going to move on to Rafi now in Pakistan. Rafi is also working for a company involved in fabric manufacturing. Rafi, can you introduce yourself and the company you work for, so we have some idea what we're talking about.
All right, Stephen. Thank you for the opportunity of letting me speak in this webinar in which we can talk about what you can see. My greetings to all the participants who are attending this. So first of all, I'll introduce myself. My name is Rauf. I'm working in Pakistan in Nishat Group, one of its subsidiaries, which is Nishat Chunia Group. Nishat Group is one of the biggest groups in Pakistan. If I talk about textile conglomerates, we are in the top 5 textile industries in Pakistan, which are dealing in multiple textile businesses, which consist of spinning, weaving. We are a vertically integrated setup, and in which we manufacture all types of textile related products. Specifically talking about my company, which is Nishat Chunia Limited, I'm specifically looking after all the compliance related matters. I'm working as the compliance head in Nishat Chunia Group, in which we mainly deal in home textiles, which is bed linens, curtains, and home textile products, which are used in the bedding industry. So this is my introduction, and a little bit about my group. That we are the 5th largest company in Pakistan. We have multiple spinning units which have a capacity of 85,000 tons of gray yarn per annum. We have 54 million meters of capacity of gray fabric. We have a 3.6 million per month capacity of dyeing and printing, and we have a 600,000 bed sheet setup, stitching setup, which is cut to pack in this group. So I'm specifically looking after the compliance related matters of the final product, which is the bedding and the product which is being delivered to the customers. And a brief intro, a little bit about me also, that I have an industrial engineering background. I have started my career in the industrial engineering in the textile industry, and I have now moved towards compliance related matters, because we can see that textile industry and the pressure from brands and everything. So like industrial engineering concepts and methodologies can be very effectively applied when it comes also to compliance requirements. So this is what we are doing specifically in Nishat Group. We are a very responsible company. We have multiple environmental certifications, which you may have heard about, like ISO 14001, Higg Index, Nordic Swan, Eco Label, multiple environmental certifications, sustainability certifications, social, organic textiles, recycled textiles. We deal in all these products in being in Pakistan. So this is a brief introduction about my company and myself.
Thanks. Before I ask you something specific about your water efficiency within the company, can you just give us a very brief overview of the water situation in Pakistan?
All right, the water situation in Pakistan, I'll just branch it out into four patterns. The country of Pakistan has four provinces: Sindh, Punjab, Balochistan, and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Uh, the industries are mostly localized in two of these provinces, which is Sindh and Punjab. If I talk about Sindh, the major industry is in a city named Karachi. So what is the situation in Karachi is that in Karachi there is specifically, I would say, no water for industries at the moment. If an industry wants to operate in Karachi of the Sindh province, then they have to procure water tankers to even run their production. That is the situation in Karachi, which is located in Sindh. So that area is specifically a red area for water at the moment, because if we talk about some of the tools that I would like to refer, that aqueduct water tool which we have used in Pakistan. So Pakistan currently is a water scarce country, and our water level is decreasing day by day. And specifically, if I talk region, then over not extract groundwater over there because of the it's very salty water and it cannot be used in production. If I talk about Sindh province, then so that's the red region which I talked about. Now the factory, my factory, which is located in Punjab region, and in Punjab we have multiple cities like Faisalabad, in which most of the textile industries are located, Lahore, which my factory is situated. We have Sialkot, we have Multan. So if I talk about Lahore's situation in Punjab is comparatively better because of the fact that the groundwater quality that we are having over here, that can be directly used into production and specifically better. So if I give a red rating to Sindh province, then in the Punjab province it's comparatively a yellow rating, but that also varies from city to city. So specifically the water situation in Pakistan is, you can say we are a water scarce country, and which is why it's an alarming situation in Pakistan in terms of the natural resource of water that we have over here.
So that partially explains your company's motivation for working on water efficiency. What have been the main projects that you're working on? You know, how are you dealing with this?
Like if I talk about that, the main reason you already explained, that due to which we don't want that situation that was in another province. So that's the main motivation. And another motivation is that to keep our business sustainable. Like, for example, if water runs out, then there's specifically no way we can operate in the textile industry. Water is a main natural resource that is needed for this type of supply chain. So the projects that we have been working on since 2016, we have been involved with multiple NGOs like WWF, GIZ is also an organization which is helping us out. So we have run multiple projects with WWF also, with GIZ. There was a project WETI by the name of WETI, Water Efficiency in the Textile Industry, in which we have started working in 2016. Specifically, what was our key motive at that time was that they had conducted a specifically baseline audit over here in our factory, and they had, you can say, developed our capacity of understanding what is the alarming situation. In 2016, we understood that situation, that okay, this is an alarming situation and we need to work on this water efficiency and this. So at that time, we specified a baseline that, all right, at this point of time, we have this much water consumption per kg of fabric in our company. And then from that, we had started out different projects. For example, first of all was training our individuals. Everyone in the engineering teams, on the production lines, and everyone, we had to train those people so that they could gain a mindset that what needs to be done and how water is scarce and obviously valuable at the same time. So first of all, the first thing we did was train our individuals. We developed their capacity. Second was that we to know how to improve on that, we need to know where we are currently standing right now. So what we did is that we introduced flow meters in specifically all our departments, all our main lines, so that actually we know how much we're consuming. because the situation in Punjab is that we don't have to procure water. We just dig a hole, we bore, and then we extract the water from the ground. And that groundwater is specifically of very good quality, which we can use in our production. So first we had to analyze how much water we are actually consuming, how much we're extracting, how much we're actually using in our production, because we also have dormitory setup and people living inside. So we need to specify, branch those values. After which we had multiple projects like the bleaching plant, which is the main water consumption point in our industry. So we had rerouted multiple lines, the lines which we checked that this water is of specifically good quality and is being wasted. So we rerouted those lines to, you must have seen the counter wash mechanism system in bleaching area. So if the final tank is extracting water of good quality, then that can be rerouted towards the first tank. So just an overview of what we did over there. And multiple projects were conducted which have resulted in around 28% of water reduction, if I talk about from 2016 till now 2022. And there were multiple projects which we had implemented, because most of our brands were also encouraging us to go towards that. Some of the brands even gave us a specific set baseline that these things need to be conducted. They had given us particular values that these need to be achieved. So overall, it was a very, you can say, a good project that we had initiated, because it was economically also sustainable for the environment, for the people, for the surrounding areas. And obviously, it also is a good practice for business continuation. So these were our achievements in the past 5-6 years due to water efficiency mechanisms that we have implemented in our industry.
So you heard Albus say that they reduced water consumption, but brands come back and say, okay, that's good, but now we want you to do a little bit more, do a little bit more. Does that resonate with you? Is that the same story you're finding?
Yeah, brands ask us to set targets for every year. Like I just talked about Higg Index. Higg Index is an online sustainability tool in which we report our yearly data. Like, for example, I'm standing in 2022. So I gave my data for 2021, and that platform is shared with all our customers which are connected with us. So what happens that we need to set specific targets for every year. Like, for example, if I have reduced 5% this year, so I need to set another target for the next year, like I'll reduce further 3%, further 2%. And it goes like this, that there are two types of targets. One is a normalized baseline, normalized target, and another is absolute. Like, for example, in the past 1 year, I have increased my dyeing capacity by 0.6 million meters per month. So obviously my consumption would increase, but I have to reduce, I have to increase my efficiency. Like now that's an absolute baseline, and now I have a normalized baseline. For example, I'm using 100 liters per kg of fabric. So I have to take that to 90. Now, even if my production capacity increases, I still need to maintain that efficiency of 90 liters per kg. So that's how customers work nowadays, that they want you to have like 5-year targets, 3-year targets, 10-year targets, that how would you reduce your water consumption? How would you increase the water quality that is being discharged out of your factory? How can you recycle it back? So, like, for example, if we're installing a new capacity ETP at our factory, so now our next target is to recycle that wasted water back into our production, so that our water consumption can be reduced further. So yeah, it's you can say the screw is tightening on an every year basis. So yeah, brands want us to continuously improve on our practices. So that's the thing, that's the motto.
Yeah. And so what I'm hearing here is that there's just no choice in this matter. This is a non-negotiable aspect, whether it's the brand's requirements or whether it's your own water scarcity within the country. At some point, there's going to be external factors pushing you. And I've been following the Pakistan water scarcity issue for some time, and yeah, this also goes through to your energy use as well. I've been following the energy, sort of the gas crisis in some parts of Pakistan at the moment as well. Yeah, these things have just become non-negotiable, and you're always looking for new ways to reduce your water or energy use. So let me. I mentioned earlier on I was going to come back to Pepper and to Na and to Albus talking about the future. But let me start with you. Since we've got to this point, I think. What does the future look like for your company with water? You know, you're saying, well, you know, some companies are requiring 3-year targets, 5-year targets, even 10-year targets. A 10-year target is that's a long way with the water target. So what does the future look like for your company? You know, thinking out 10 years or even beyond that.
Yeah, the situation is that because the major targets are being set by the customers which have been dealing with us for the past 15 years. Now they have a sustainable business with us. So they are associated with us as partners because if we set good targets and we achieve those targets, then that brand is also very confident on us that, okay, this company will be surviving with us even 10 years down the line. We can have sustainable business with them even after 10 years, because they know the restrictions, the regulations that are being faced by them. Like, for example, if I am dealing with a US based company, so they also get strictness on their regulations. They also have strictness on their supply chains because of the fact that everyone knows that water scarcity is an issue, especially in Pakistan. So if they are sourcing from Pakistan, they are also being checked and regulated that where are you sourcing from. And obviously, due to the internet, the social media and everything, these things are also noticed by consumers. Because let me just give you an example that I have a label by the name of Okotex Made in Green. What is that I when I ship a product, the customer, when he is in the shop, he can scan that label, and by scanning of that label, he would know that from where the yarn came, from where the fabric came, from where it was dyed, from where it was stitched, everything. So if a customer scans on that and he sees that this is made in Pakistan, but the situation in Pakistan is very worse in terms of water efficiency. So a brand needs to, you can showcase that confidence in terms of the consumer also. So the things we do over here translate towards the customer also, and they have a very good chance of business continuity, and you can say less risk of losing business due to these issues. So which is why we have to set baselines, we have to improve on our practices and instill that confidence in our customer also, that we will be doing this 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. So you can also claim that we will be zero carbon, we will be reducing our water consumption by this. So this is the thing that we need to continuously keep on thinking of these things. Obviously, due to the fact that also energy also by these sustainability, the concept of sustainability is economic also, it's business continuity also, it's for the environment also. So in terms of everything, sustainability is, you can say, a key motive right now for both we as a company also and for our customers also. So keeping that in mind, it's, you can say, a bright future, I would say, for us, because we are working on these things. If it comes to competition, then obviously we would be rated high if it comes towards business selection, because this has become a prerequisite right now. A customer first asks about your compliance, about your performances, then they talk about the pricing and everything. Nowadays, this is the situation.
And that's a shift, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Albus, let me come back to you. I don't think Vietnam has the same sort of water scarcity issue that Rafi is talking about with Pakistan. Obviously, as Na says, you've got You've certainly got some, you've certainly got risk issues in Vietnam. But what does the future look like for your company in Vietnam with water scarcity? Are you also thinking in terms of 5 and 10-year targets? Talk us through your perspective on this.
Well, so in these industries, before the government is very easy for us. They let us to get the water underground to do our business. But then in the futures, in the very near futures, it will be obligated totally. Then we have to find a way to recycle, to reuse the water that we.
Has the government already indicated that? Have they?
They are considering. They're considering exactly.
Right, considering. Okay.
Yeah. And in the new factories that we plan to have in the next year, it seems like we totally cannot use any kind of underground water anymore. Then we have to recycle the water 100%. And I think it is the same case for Pakistan or the other countries where the water is one of the very limited resource, right? Yeah, and of course, for the next 10 years, brands will always increase their standards, and we have to follow. We have to follow, and I think that we are still on track for everything.
You mentioned the government. Has the government made any other? Has the government passed any laws, any legislation specifically related to water use? You're saying about underground water that they're considering it, but have there been any other sort of policy changes over the last couple of years that have made your company think about water in a different way? Is the government passing laws on water?
Yeah, I think I can contribute
yes.
with Tom on this, because at WLab we also do a big work on like we spend effort on law advocacy, and regarding law for water, especially for region in the South Vietnam, there has been a strict law to restrict the underground water exploitation, and many factory has been affected by that. Some industrial province, like where some company locate, the government, the municipal government has step by step inhibited underground water. Even for factory that set up long time ago with the water permit, water exploitation permit, now the water permit has been reviewed and removed. Some factory has been removed from the right to extract water. So that is the stricter and stricter law on the underground water exploitation. What we see in also recently, Vietnam issued the revised law on water resources, where water is considered a market commodity, no longer granted resources. So you can see that in many countries like Pakistan and India, Asia, still have to our perspective, to have water be free of charge for user. So it creates many problems, even problem for us, because some factory that have the free of charge underground water using, then we cannot promote any investment for water efficiency, because it is not economic viable, not economic gain for the current user, for the factories. So what we promote is that based on the revised law, that the new perspective to consider water as a commodity, we will go on to advocate for having a unified water price for industrial users across the countries, and also to see how the water can be assessed equally and inclusively for community and for agriculture, for industry user. So that is regarding water justice. Yeah. So that's the big issue, and really it had to be go before any upscaling of the water efficiency investment.
Yeah, right. That's very interesting. So is the textile industry ready for these changes? I mean, what percentage of wet processing companies do you think are prepared to deal with this change?
They are alerted by the municipal government. I think then for some company and other neighboring companies in the South Vietnam, the municipal government give alert of at least how many years, Tom? I think 5 years for the company to prepare.
Every 5
okay.
years. Every 5 years.
Yeah, every 5 years they will review the water exploitation permit, and they will shorten the period of the permit. For example, first they give 5 years, and then now they give it every year. So every year the water permit need to be reviewed, and so that's moving to the 100% cut it up of the water exploitation. Then I do not have the figure on how preparing, how many companies are preparing for this, but then together with WWF water risk awareness raisins, many others brands and associations also raise awareness among manufacturers on the water risk and what their footprint to the community and as well as to their business continuity. So that's why I think companies are more or less have to prepare in the 5 years milestone to cut out their water reduction or set up a new facility with the new technologies. Because as I know, you might know that to amend and to adjust an existing facility is even got more costing and not efficient than to set up a new one with new technology. Yeah, so that I think many companies are adopting that strategy.
So let me ask you the question I've just asked Albus and Rafi. What does the future look like? 5, 10 years and beyond with regard to water in Vietnam and the textile industry? Is the government, okay, the government's reviewing things, on its sort of 5-year plan model. Is this going to get tougher? Is the government going to restrict more and more? And as related to that kind of issue, is any of this being driven by the EU-Vietnam trade deal that was signed 2020? Was it 2020 or 2021?
Yeah, 2020, I think so.
2020, yeah.
EVFTA.
Is that driving any of this?
Yeah, this is interesting question, and we know that the EVFTA or other new FTAs agreement that Vietnam have signed up already promote largely the sustainability of textile production. Refer to social sustainability, it surely is a lot of more pressure on the environmental part. However, I would say that this new FTA do not necessarily create sufficient pressure, and the pressure is much lesser compared to brand pressure and market pressure.
Right.
So the signal from EU as a new market has not really signal enough regarding the environmental dimensions. Yeah, but let's not say that we do integrate the new FTAs as the incentives for for the fabric and the garment companies in Vietnam, in the way that although the environmental compliant mechanism for this FTA have not been enforced, but still with the more production going on in Vietnam and more sourcing from Vietnam, then overall the pressure on the environmental footprint will go up, and if not from the EU market, it will be from the government to strengthen the footprint, to cut down the footprint, and that will be the entry point for all the company to change from now. Either the water or the government or the energy footprint, the governments have the policy to monitor and to put some manufacturer under pressure to change. In Vietnam, the energy has been strictly monitored for big energy user to have the audit every 2 years and to have the plan to cut down energy use accordingly. Similar, what we do is similar for water, but not yet the government law. I think that's what we also aim to do that, but of course it takes more time. But that's why we also ask brand to come together with us to follow this mechanism of water audit, any regular water audit, and then follow on the improvement plan. So it's continuous improvements. Of course, the future is that you cut down the water resources, water consumption by 25% or 80%, but the optimal state is that you can recycle the wastewater and put it back to the production. So by then, within the site of the facility, then the water is the net positive, the net zero. You use water 100. You use, for example, 1,000 cubic meter of water, and then you recycle back 900 cubic meters, and the 100 is observed in the fabric. So that is the net positive. But of course, because we promote collective action, then if you are the company are net positive, it does not mean that you are okay, you are no longer accountable for the water issues. You also look at the beyond your site and be joining this with the community and with the government for the river basins water governance and management. So that is what the future will look like for. So we do aim for upscaling the water stewardship at the cluster level, industrial park level. We aim for wastewater recycle, and also we aim for collective river basins governments. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I think I would like to add in some point to make it more concrete. In case of the company, then we all know that we are working for brands, and they are much faster moving than the legal requirements.
Mm-hmm.
So always they will set up the targets, and with the brand, with a big brand that we are working with now, they require us to reduce 5% every year of the water use. So it's the case, and to meet the target, of course, you have to think of a lot of reasons, think of a lot of source where you can cut off the water use, and technologies and investments should be the big challenge. Of course, we have to say, like, our government also become stricter in the recent years, but then brands always be faster. And one of the point is that for the next 10 years, I think because of the climate change and also the other politic issue or whatever, then people, I mean, the other countries will want to control the water in Mekong Delta rivers. So it's also the challenge for the factory like us in the south of Vietnam now. And we really have to cope with a big problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, echoing a point that Rafi made. Yeah, there's no choice in this. This is our work now. Pepper, I'm going to come back to you about the future. I'll give you a few more minutes to think on that. I just want to go to the chat box. Shirley has asked, to no one specifically, okay, but to I think really to Rafi and Albus in particular. May I ask, what support do suppliers need from the brands? Not all suppliers are proactive or have the initiative or knowledge for water efficiency or water stewardship. What would be most useful for factories that can motivate them? So for Albus and Rafi, you know, what's most useful that can motivate you from the brands? And Abdul has replied in the chat box from a Bangladeshi perspective. But anyway, do Albus and Rafi want to tackle Shirley's question there?
So allow me to answer that question from Shirley. I think that the brands need to present the water efficiency and water stewardship cases. They need to showcase best practices, like in their country, whatever company is doing the best practice in terms of water efficiency, water stewardship, they need to show it as a business case. I think so. So that won't be specifically seen as a water efficiency project, but it will also be seen as a profitable venture, because so that they can remain competitive in the international market. So economically it would be sustainable, it would be sustainable for the environment. So because brands have access to all the suppliers, like for example, if there are 100 suppliers in one country, so there are some suppliers which are top tier, some are mid tier, some are low tier. So to increase the capacity, to increase the water efficiency of the low tier and mid tier ones, the brands should present those the top tier cases as a business case to others, that look, they have saved so much water, they have saved so much money in this. So which is why, even being a bigger setup, even having higher costs, they still are more competitive in the international market than the other ones. So that would be a motivation factor for the suppliers, because that's the main thing, because why a business is existent in the first phase. So I think that is something that would motivate them. Thank you.
Thank you. Albus, do you have anything to add to Rafi?
Same. I think the opinion of Abdul is already covered almost the points, but then I also want to say, like brands and suppliers, we go with each other by benefits. We must be win-win in this relationship, right? So, for example, like they ask us to reduce the water use. Of course, it also affects our present cost. And then with the water use reduced, we also reduce the what we say that the fee for the ETP. I mean the wastewater treatment plant, and the other like chemical using for it or whatever. So in this point, we agree with the brands, because we also get the benefit from it, from these improvements.
Right. Can I, since I've got you here, there was a question in the chat box from Tuan, Dr. Tam. To manage water in your factory, do you focus on water balance? Which factor impacts water balance in the factory?
Oh, well, of course, the water balance is one of the essentials terms that we need to manage. And then we experienced before kind of leakage in the water US or in the water pipe or whatever. And also we have the problem with the optimizations of the water circulating process. But then we already fixed it. And because we are located in south of Vietnam, so the weather is also a big challenge when counting on the water balance. Because here in this place, for the water seasons, I'm sorry, for the raining seasons, the heavy rainfall is a big challenge. Have to say that.
Yeah. Yes. Rebecca, could someone in the IT team put in the link to the survey poll? So IT you'll see something pop up in the chat box. If you could please take the time just to click on that and do the little survey, take about a minute. It'll help us improve these webinars. Pepper, you've been listening to all of this. I'm going to come back to you and sort of give you the last word here.
No, it's been great.
What does the future look like? You've been listening to all of this.
I've been listening to many things, and I completely agree. Well, with Rafe, coming back to what he was saying, that this is a must. It's a shift that needs to be done, and that today the consumer, in many ways, and brands and retailers are looking more into sustainability than any time. And I think for us as a technology provider and innovators and investors in R&D, for us, our goal is to make it possible for the industry and for the manufacturers to tackle these problems. And this is why we are investing in creating new technology that, first of all, is capable of solving these water efficiency problems, but also is capable of solving the cost-effective, manufacturing process, so that all manufacturers and brands are capable of investing in this technology, and is giving them a benefit cost-wise. Because at the end, for us, we were born 27 years ago. 27 years ago, when you were speaking about sustainability, nobody even knew what this word was about. Sustainability, environment, who cares, no? 30 years ago, nobody was thinking about this. Today is something that is a must. If you're not sustainable, if you're not thinking of the people and the planet, you're out of the picture. So when we started introducing these technologies in the market and in the industry, we were not thinking just on changing the way we were producing, but we were also thinking of how can we help our customers, which are the manufacturers, to be more efficient, so that they can reduce costs in their operations, right? So when you're reducing water, you are reducing energy, you are reducing processes, you are reducing time. This means that you are maybe producing more and having less costs in your operation, and this is a benefit for the manufacturer. So what we are doing here is we are trying to put the technology available in the market that is going to give a benefit in all the ways, right? Economically wise, sustainable for the environment, and for the people, being more efficient, and being able to manage better the operations. So definitely this is our goal. At Genology, we have a target that it's called Mission Zero, and we are inviting all manufacturers, brands, designers, consumers to commit to this Mission Zero, that it's by 2025, we expect that all jeans that are produced in the world under this commitment of Mission Zero will be produced with zero waste in the finishing process. And it's true that we are a small company. We cannot change the whole supply chain, but we have put the focus on one of the most water consumer products in the industry, which is a pair of jeans. And we have tackled an important part of the production process, which is the finishing area. There is many other areas that must be tackled, like, for example, the cotton growing area. And this is why we are all here, because we all work in different parts of the supply chain. But however, we believe that if we all collaborate, share ideas with each other, help each other, and become one big community, then the change will be faster, will be easier, and it will definitely have a bigger impact. So we invite definitely all of these manufacturers, brands, and all the players in the textile industry to join us and to listen our story and to call us if for anything they need, because we are here to create solutions for them and to be able to manage and tackle these problems in the textile industry. So
but do you have, Rafi mentioned, one of the things he'd like to see would be showcasing best practices, particularly particular business case for brands to be able to make a business case for doing this. Have you got any ideas there? Do you see any brands presenting the business case for water efficiency, not just from a water stewardship perspective, but from a business case? Or does Genology have any case studies or anything that people could look at?
Yes, definitely. We have worked. So we work very closely with brands so that they can change the way they are producing, starting from product development and designing. This is something that is very important, and we have a software that is called the EIM, which is the environmental impact measurement of the garments. So we are working with brands very closely and creating small engineering centers in the headquarters of the brand so that they can study the processes of how they are developing products and they are designing, so that then we can scale this to production with same technology and understanding the impact that this has with the environment in terms of water, in terms of chemicals, in terms of work health. And then with their suppliers, they can work closely and help them invest in this kind of technology and help them collaborate together for the transformation of the whole supply chain. And this is well, I can put an example of Levi's. Levi's Strauss & Co is one the biggest manufacturer of jeans in the world, and we have worked closely with them in order to eliminate 100% PP spray of their supply chain, and we were able to do it in 2019 with a project that they call FLX. And this is something that, well, we are definitely measuring it with them. We are helping them, and is also helping us with our real customer, which is the manufacturer, right? To be able to change and to have the support of the brand, knowing that this is something that is available. The technology is available, and they can do it. So they need to support their suppliers, and the only way and the best way they can do it is by understanding where the process comes from and how they can change it and measuring it.
Pepper, what was the name of the manufacturer? I didn't catch it.
No, I said the name of the brand, Levi's.
Oh, the brand. Who was it?
Levi Strauss.
Oh, it's Levi, right? Okay. Yeah, I didn't hear. I didn't catch. Look, fabulous. Thank you so much. So Lisa has just put in the text box that link. If you fill out the survey for us, you can register your interest of what topics you would like us to do in future. So if you've got some particular issue that you think we should cover and get some experts in to talk about, like today, then please mention that in the survey form. Okay, we've got less than 1 minute left. It's just up to me now to thank you, to thank our four panelists so much. Thank you to each and every one of you. You know, I know you're all busy, and we appreciate very much all four of you taking the time to add to this. I find this really, really fascinating, and you know, my takeaway is that, look, it's something that Albus said. You know, the brands move faster than the law, or the brands move faster than the government. Yeah, so we're not going backwards here. You know, we've got to deal with this. There's no way out. All right, thank you very much. Thank you to all the participants for hanging on to the end. Stay safe, look after yourself, and goodbye from everyone at GIZ and Genology, the co-organizer for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Okay, thanks very much, guys. Yeah, great. Really interesting discussion. I think this could have gone on for much longer.
Thank you.
Just said, Dr. Tam, thank you for your answer. Good job.
Okay,
well done.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Pepper. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, now.
Okay, Stephen. Bye.
Bye for now.
Everyone.
Right.
Thank you.
See you later.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Elvis, thank you. Thanks, Rafi.